Hello guys, welcome back to Writer's Tales. Last Adventurous, this is the sixth story, Terra's Cradle. So, this is another planet story, planet-based story. This time we're on a jungle planet called Vertini, or Vertini it's called, or Nye. It depends on your pronunciation of it. But Vertini, it was a jungle planet that's been abandoned for hundreds of years, very much so. So it's never been uninhabited whatsoever, really. It's not until a research team of scientists decide to set up a research base within the jungles and basically just to observe like what is there to be seen or to be analysed there. So that's what they've been doing really. But also they've been planning something else, something very secret and deadly, of course. So the protagonists, of course, land the ship, of course, in the jungle. They're quite unsure if they're in the Amazon or whatever. So like, or in Peru or whatever. But they said like it's like the planet's atmosphere is very different, of course. Like it's very sort of, let's say like a muggy atmosphere because it's within a very sort of like a jungle very much. Well, the whole planet is a whole jungle. It is. You know, no light is sort of radiates through really. So it's just like constant trees. There could be a few lakes, but there's no outside bit like deserts or anything like that. It's just full on jungle, like full on trees, just looming over the place. You know, make it a bit more like that's like a claustrophobic element to it. And that's really what the situation of the planet is. Once they get there, actually, they find the base. They do just lodged somewhere like a white coloured base, just lodged randomly in the middle, randomly in the middle of the jungle. Of course, the whole entirety of the jungle. And basically meet them, of course, and they seem sort of like pleasant, of course. Oh, we're doing this sort of thing, you know. We're discovering plantation, everything else, you know, vegetation. Is there any life there? We're sampling soils and stuff like that. It's just like routine business, of course. But the systems go down, and there's a power cut, and something is loose in the base. Something's been escaped. That's something the scientists have been doing, other than analysing. So, this is where we get into this sort of creature thing. Of course, there's a creature looming about in the base, and also it's planning on freeing to the jungle, of course. You know, but some scientists do have like their own. What's the word? Of course, you know, dilemmas. Of course, really, to be honest. But in actual fact, the scientists have been experimenting with DNA. They actually found what seems to be remains of a dead, like a fossilized creature that they found, and took its DNA. Well, two fossilized creatures actually. Well, they say one, then they say two, and then they say like a multitude of species. And they've been experimenting and they've been homegrowing these in the base. They have, just to think, you know, we can create our own life. And what you get is two creatures, not one but two, that they come out. One is they're known as, they call them Xenos, really. Well, they're quite different, of course. There's Xeno 1. Xeno 1's more of a humanoid creature, very much, and Xeno 2 is more of a spider-like arachnid type creature. Very much. So they escaped out of their confines, of course, when the power goes out, because in terms of this whole structure of the base, electricity was all powered by a generator, but the generator got damaged because of the planet's environment, of course, because you can't, if it's like a rainforest, you can't set up camp, of course, or in something like that, really, with a generator. Probably doesn't work sometimes, even though it's sheltered business, of course, and that sort of thing, but it doesn't work sometimes. I mean, concerns about like what the weather's like sometimes, you know, in terms of that planet, really, more heavier, really. So they start picking off members of the scientists, of course, who actually created them, and they just plan to escape the base and probably just leave or something. Get a distress call to whoever, you know, get someone from the company that they work for into to land on the planet and save them, really. But as it goes on, you know, they sort of drift. The scientists drift apart. They do, and they sort of get separated. Of course, you get two creatures running around just trying to kill them. Basically, they don't. Now the Xenos don't really eat them. They just attack them, of course, like prey. They don't. do anything really. They just pounce on them, just like, you know, like, but I wrote just kill him, really, to be honest, you know, and just leave them enough for dead, really, you know. It's like, just, you know, they just go on and pounce on them whenever, and that's it, really. So there's no methods of, like, you know, hosting or anything, like, or eating, like, very much like they eat them for protein and stuff. That's never not the case with this one, with these creatures. And it's just trying to find a way out. But also, the protagonist don't know where the ship is, of course, because it's in a vibrant jungle. So even though it's a police box, it's like, you know, where the hell is it? You know, they do eventually find it, of course, and two scientists survive out of it, really. You know, survive out of the of the situation, of course. Only two managed. So, the backstory of this one. So, this is another one of those stories that I actually written for the fan series, of course, along with many of the others I've talked about already previously. The title for this one was originally called The Hidden Planet. Interesting time because it was based off a first Doctor story. I think it's actually been animated, adapted into audio as well, so maybe. I think it has, I don't know. Hidden Planet, I don't know. So it was originally called The Hidden Planet. And some of the influences, of course, the scientists are actually based on the Carry On actors, of course. The main, if you think of Carry On, you think of like the main characters, like, you know, Jim Dale, Sid James, Charles Hawtrey, Kenneth Williams, of course, Barbara Windsor as well. You know, all them types. You know, they're basically the scientists, you know, operating in the area, really. So I always thought it's an interesting idea because there's a Carry On film that's meant to be, say, in space, but never made, unfortunately, during the 60s. So I thought maybe do something like that. So it's basically a Doctor Who story Carry On crossover thing, really. If you look at it, you think, really. So yeah. Now forward to the backstory. So the scientists are based on the characters of the Carry On franchise, of course. Xenos, they're actually based on two versions. I think it's two versions. If you've ever seen a film called Extra, which I actually covered back in Series 9 in movie reviews, I sort of based the Xenos a bit on them, really, because I found like a artwork diagram explaining the arachnid pose of one of the creatures, of course, which Sam was in the film, and same afterwards with his humanoid version as well. I think at the end of the movie it's sold as humanoid, whereas you get the sort of arachnid version that you probably see in the film, of course, all throughout most of the film, really. So I based them on them, really, so that's where it comes from. It's very Planet of Evil, very much that sort of style, which I do like. I do like Planet of Evil. I think it's one of my favourite Fourth Doctor stories ever, really. Well, it's one of my favourites all time. So there's a really good influence, of course. You know, you land on like a jungle planet, scientists involved, evil shit happens, really. So that's how it goes. Nothing else to say about that one. So that's it, really. So Terror's Cradle. Well, Terror's Cradle, I think, came from a painting, actually, to be honest. I mean, some of these titles, some of the stories on here have like some titles that come from paintings, like sci-fi. Yeah, so that one comes from the Terror's Cradle comes from a science fiction painting it does from the 70s. So I thought that's an interesting title, and it all works in a way. It does. So Terror's Cradle, yes. Thank you guys for watching. As always, see you in the next video, and goodbye.